All right, well, the Justice Department is appealing a federal court ruling that blocks the Biden administration from communicating with social media companies. A judge determining this week the White House likely violated the First Amendment by colluding with big tech to censor protected speech during the pandemic. The White House telling reporters yesterday that they disagree with the ruling. Listen to this.
Our view remains that social media platforms have a critical responsibility to take action or to take account of the effects of their platforms are having to the American people.
Joining me now is syndicated columnist and host of the Josh Hammer Show, Josh Hammer. Josh, so reportedly they're going to appeal, but if you look at the messages that the judge cited, and I brought this up a few moments ago, the White House, you can see in the language, they are bullying these social media companies to pull down accounts, to pull down tweets, to pull down posts. It's pretty surprising what they were doing at the time.
Yeah, on the one hand, it's surprising. On the other hand, they've been doing it fairly explicitly out in the open for a while. So among the many things that Judge Doty cites in this really wonderful 155-page ruling, you know, Jen Psaki, who was then the White House press secretary, I mean, she just said this out in the open, Cheryl. It was July 15, 2021. She was standing on the White House secretary's podium, and she literally was saying that the administration was working with the tech companies to work to tamp down COVID-19 misinformation, disinformation, or whatever the exact word of the day was. So they've been doing this fairly out in the open. And, you know, I've written a number of columns, number of essays over the past few years pointing this out. The broader problem that we have seen over the past, call it 5, 6, 7 years or so, COVID-19, I think, really kind of accentuates this point in particular. But it's not just COVID-19. The Hunter Biden laptop story with the New York Post obviously comes to mind as well. You've seen this collapse of what 30, 40 years ago might have been this firm distinction between the public sector and the private sector. And you see this very, very, very troubling and deeply pernicious blurring of the lines between the public sector and the private sector. And when it comes to kind of the legal paradigms of the U.S. Constitution and many of our relevant statutes, we're kind of in uncharted waters here because the U.S. Constitution speaks primarily of state actors, but we're talking about the First Amendment involving private actors, but with public nudging. There's some relevant legal precedent. So there's a case called Norwood versus Harrison from the Supreme Court in the early 1970s, where the court famously said that the government cannot incentivize private actors to do that which the government itself cannot do directly, meaning censor First Amendment protected speech, things like that. So anyway, obviously this is a preliminary ruling. It'll get appealed to the Fifth Circuit, which is a right of center appeals court. But, you know, who knows what will happen there. But it's a good day. It's a very good day for those of us who have been crying out for attention on this issue for a few years now.
Well, and again, you know, you're right. Jen Psaki did admit that as well. But again, those messages, and you can read them in the complaint, are just, it's pretty offensive what they were doing. And now we know that a lot of those voices that they were silencing were asking questions about, because a lot of this is around COVID, that were actually legitimate questions about vaccines and the disease and things like that. So I want to move on, though. Well, speaking of, if this goes to the Supreme Court, Democrats are ramping up pressure on President Biden to pack the Supreme Court after last week's landmark decisions, both of them. You've got Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, writing in a statement, quote, recent partisan decisions by the Supreme Court that destroyed historic protections for reproductive rights, voting rights, and more have undermined public trust in the court. Now, to be clear, President Biden has not backed this sentiment, if you will. But the squad, they think that court packing is the answer because they don't agree with the decisions that have been handed down because they didn't go their way, basically.
Right. So there's a lot to say on this. So the left, the Democrat media complex, as Andrew Breitbart famously called it, has been engaged for months now in a long-sustained disinformation operation against the U.S. Supreme Court. So ProPublica has put out numerous smear job pieces, some against Clarence Thomas, one against Justice Samuel Alito. Politico a couple months ago had a hit piece against an allegedly shady real estate transaction that Justice Neil Gorsuch engaged in back in Colorado, which turned out to be a total nothing burger. Sheldon Whitehouse and Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee held a sham Potemkin hearing on so-called ethics reform in early May. So they've been gearing up for this moment, for the end of the Supreme Court term, and now they're taking it to its logical conclusion after some 6-3 decisions last week. But there are a few things, Cheryl, that are worth bearing in mind here. First of all, this term had actually substantially fewer 6-3 quote-unquote ideological splits than last term, when, of course, we had the Dobbs abortion case, the Bruin Second Amendment case, and other major rulings like that. Another data point that I think is worth bearing in mind here, for all this talk of this highly partisan, right-wing reactionary court, the two justices this term who found themselves in the majority least often, according to the data this past weekend after the term completed that I saw, well, those would be actually the two most reliable conservative justices on the court, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. And there's any number of other high-profile cases that people like this congresswoman are not talking about. So there was a case called Allen versus Milligan out of Alabama, which is a Voting Rights Act redistricting case that went in favor of the left. It heavily redounds to partisan Democratic interests. Ditto Moore versus Harper, a similar redistricting case out of North Carolina. So, there were 3 6-3 quote-unquote ideological cases last week in affirmative action, 303 Creative, the case out of Colorado on free speech, and then the Biden student loan case. But these people are just not taking a longer view of what happened here. But it's all part of an effort, Cheryl. It's all part of a sustained systemic effort to delegitimize the one major institution that is not totally dominated by leftists.
All right. Well, before you run, real quick, I've only got a couple of seconds here, but I got to ask you about this. There's this former GOP congressman, it's Denver Riggleman. He's working with Hunter Biden's legal team. They're conducting digital forensics on the laptop. Now, he says when he took the job, he wasn't pro-Hunter or anti-Hunter. He's pro-data and facts. But what do you make of this deep dive into the laptop by him on behalf of the Hunter legal team?
I mean, it's an odd twist in this story, right? I mean, people who have followed Denver Riggleman for a few years, and I guess I'm one of them, know that this is a guy who has bounced around mildly, or bounced around quite a bit over the political spectrum over the past few years. Look, when it comes to Hunter Biden in particular here, I mean, obviously he had this sweetheart deal recently. It seems like David Weiss, the federal prosecutor in Delaware, is probably done with his investigation for now. That does not mean that House Republicans should be done with their own investigation. I mean, James Comer in particular on the Oversight Committee should be continuing to kind of subpoena people and get to the bottom of the IRS whistleblower and things like that. So we have certainly not seen the end of this saga anytime soon. The Denver Riggleman twist is obviously a very unexpected development.
Yeah. It's a surprise. It was definitely a surprise to see him, this data dive, whatever this is going to bring out. Josh Hammer, thank you so much for being here.